Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Von Manor. And today, I've got another Stephen King book to talk to you folks about. So a while ago, I had a read every book by challenge, and I ended up with the challenge of reading every book by Stephen King in order of publication. So I've been reading through the 1970s, and I've reached the last book of the 1970s. So I'm going to talk about that today, and then I'm going to have another video in the near future where I'm just talking about Stephen King in the 70s. But today, I'm going to be talking about his last book of the 70s, which would be this one, The Dead Zone, which was published in 1979. And The Dead Zone, which tells the story of Johnny Smith. Poor Johnny Smith, who had a terrible car accident and was put into a coma for 5 years. When he emerged from the coma, he had to try to put his life back together while they were trying to put his body back together. And he found that he had mysterious psychic powers. Now, he already had these powers before. They were kind of dormant, though. They would show up here or there. But for whatever reason, once he emerged from the coma, his power emerged full-fledged. And it kind of ruined his life, the poor guy. So Johnny Smith, he was a school teacher, a really, really good one. He looked like he was going to have a great life. He was in love with a young woman named Sarah. She was falling pretty hard for him as well. They went out to the fair. They had a mysterious experience at the fair, which involved his psychic abilities. And on his way home from the fair, he got into a terrible accident. This is a really good book. I was really pleasantly surprised by this book. I was The Stand, the novel that preceded this, the gigantic, monstrous Stand, was kind of a letdown. It wasn't Stephen King's best work. I know it's one of his most popular, but I don't really feel like it succeeded as a novel entirely. It didn't really have much of a plot. Well, I left a whole review on The Stand. This is a lot better. This has an excellent plot. It's very well written. It just works really, really well, and it has some genuinely frightening moments, some eerie moments, some tense suspense, all that stuff you want in a Stephen King book. I had read this years and years ago when I was either in my late teens, early 20s, I don't remember, but it was a long time ago. And I remember liking it. I realized that it was a good book, but I kind of felt like it was a little slow in places. So it wasn't my favorite. I liked it a lot more now, and I think it helps to be a little older when you read this just because of what this book is about. It does have moments where it could be a little slow, especially towards in the earlier sections of the novel. When he's in a coma. But I found the whole thing very readable, despite that. I thought it worked really well. So this is the story of this guy who develops these psychic powers, and when he touches somebody or something that somebody had been around, he'll have flashes and psychic flashes. And when this happens to him, it's really obvious. So he ends up kind of being famous. He doesn't want to be, but he kind of ends up that way. And at one point, he helps solve a crime because the police chief was desperate and asked him to help solve a crime, and he did, which didn't really help him out personally. His power really kind of messes up his life. If the accident hadn't already messed it up, his power isn't helping any. He's a school teacher, like I said, a really, really good one. That's all this guy wants to be. And he ends up not being able to get a job as a teacher because of him being so well known as this psychic. Because of course a lot of people think he's faking. Why wouldn't they? Psychics are fake in real life. But he's not fake in the book. And so he has a lot of challenges going up against him. And he ends up running into this sleazeball politician, which is the villain of the book, the main villain of the book, a guy named Greg Stilson, the evil politician Greg Stilson, who's just this slimy populist politician who's just straight evil through and through. Really bad guy. And he's kind of a clown, this politician. And he's destined to become president of the United States. And because he's so stupid, he'll end up getting like millions of people killed. I could imagine this character seeming a little one note and unbelievable. But then Trump happened, and now this character seems completely believable to me. So yeah, there you go. So he's actually a believable villain, which makes him, in my mind, it made him more of a threat. A believable threat to poor Johnny. Johnny is an interesting guy. Stephen King deliberately makes Johnny Smith the everyman, somebody you can totally relate to. Basically just a really nice guy, John Smith. And I think that's why his name is John Smith. And so while all that stuff that I just talked about, that's what the book seems to be about, that's not what the book is about. The book is actually about loss and losing out on a life that you should have had. It's about your life being derailed by circumstances beyond your control, which happened to this guy. Because like I said, he was about to have everything that he wanted. Everything that he deserved, frankly, because he's a good guy. He deserved to have a good life with the woman that he was in love with. He deserved to live the life that he wanted. He was a teacher. That's what he felt like he was born to do. He was a natural teacher. That's all he wanted to do. And he would have been a good one, but he couldn't be because of what happened to him. Fate had other plans for him. And so the book is about him dealing with that. And I think that's a very relatable thing. Anybody that's been in a traumatic accident and have had their life derailed, or have had other situations where because of circumstances beyond their control, things just went south in their life. Any one of us who have experienced that can relate to this book and this character. And I think that's one of the reasons that it works more for me now as an older person than a younger person. I didn't know jack about loss when I was a younger person. I couldn't really appreciate what this guy was going through. And Stephen King does a really good job of presenting that, of presenting Johnny faced with this. And ultimately, because of his power, he's faced with a choice of doing or trying to do the right thing, trying to do something that will save all of these lives that he finds are threatened by this evil Stilson, even though it will literally cost him everything that he has left. He's already lost just about everything, but he still has a chance at life. So he has to decide whether he's going to throw it all away to do the right thing, basically. It's kind of a tragedy, this book. And you really feel for poor Johnny Smith. Stephen King does a really good job presenting his circumstances. And even though he's kind of a simple character, the everyman, like I said, he's done very well. I think Stephen King, who had experience as a teacher, of course, was able to put a lot of himself into that character, probably. Comes across as a very believable character. The character work in this story is really good. There are a couple things that aren't so great. Once again, we have the crazy mom character, you know, because he's got to have a crazy mom in his book or a crazy lady in his book. So this is like, yeah, the third or fourth crazy mom I've come across in a Stephen King novel. And this is only the 70s. But this is a good book to close out the 70s. Stephen King had a really good decade in the 70s altogether. And I appreciated this one. I like this one an awful lot. I highly recommend it. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about The Dead Zone, Stephen King's final book of the 1970s. It's got some great moments in it, some suspense, some scary parts, great character work, all around a really good book. So yeah, The Dead Zone, I recommend it. It's good. I look forward to moving on to the 80s. I think the next one I'm reading is Firestarter. I should get on that real soon. So yeah, there you go. I will catch you tomorrow. What do I have coming up tomorrow? I don't remember. I think I've got another book review maybe. Yeah, I think I do. Okay, I will catch you next time.